The Child of Gulag. Written by Yuri Feynberg. Narrated by Chris Barnes. Praise for The Child of Gulag. An intelligent, well-written, informative book about growing up in the Soviet Union and overcoming repression. It brims with history, reference, and subtle allusion. Yuri Feynberg is stimulating, adventurous, and witty. I highly recommend this book to anyone interested in reading an eyewitness account of life in the Serbian Gulag and one brave man's escape from it. Terry Thompson, Professor, Graduate School of Journalism, Columbia University. A fascinating story of a life in the context of a world changing without end. I felt I was altered in time and living in the history of Eastern Europe. I was particularly moved by the level of historical detail that pieced together events in Russian, European history, and the heartfelt the impact on Yule's life, family, and the salient influence on the practice of medicine and healthcare. I could not put it down. Andrew F. Lane, Doctor of Science. Percy K. and Vida L. W. Hudson, Professor of Biomedical Engineer and Radiology, Chair Department of Biomedical Engineering, Columbia University, New York, New York. The Child of Gulag. Written by Yuri Feynberg. Narrated by Chris Barnes. Acknowledgements. I am grateful to Lucas Stanzik for his technical assistance throughout the writing process. Dedication to Zoya, the Angel of the Gulag. Prologue. January 16, 1997. The flying dream was back, remarkably lucid after a 25-year absence. Yule was dreaming of flying high above the Hudson River, looking down at the stretch between the Tappan Zee and the George Washington bridges. The flight, however, was different. Instead of characteristic soaring, it was a tailspin. Slow at first, then gradually becoming faster and faster until finally reeling out of control. This particular dream had another unusual quality. He was dreaming and analyzing the dream at the same time, a strange sensation of adapting both the role of the participant and the observer. The spin had come to an abrupt halt when he hit the water. He opened his eyes. The worried face of a Parkway patrolman floated like a scepter above him, almost surreal and intangible. Yule was lying on his back, feeling a pleasantly cool drizzle on his face. He heard the patrolman talking into his police radio. Male, Caucasian, bleeding out the mouth. Looks like serious internal. No other vehicles involved. Yule was not scared. On the contrary, there was a pleasant feeling of euphoria. The endorphins did their job by making the inevitable transition from life to death painless, as gentle as droplets of rain caressing one's cheeks. But Yule had opened his eyes again, his body refusing to sink into the respite promised by death. Overhead, he was blinded by very bright and shadowless lamps shining down onto him. A tube was hanging out of his mouth, accompanied by two more thick tubes, one on each side, emerging from somewhere in his body. Only the ends of each tube were visible, eventually terminating inside a pump which was rising and falling with every breath he took. Perhaps it was the other way around, with the cylinder autonomously going up and down, thereby enabling him to breathe. Yule pondered for a moment. His mind was slowly clearing, struggling to piece together the sequence of events that brought him here. He remembered driving on the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?